Okay, it's that time of the week. Let's get it. Indeed. Man talk, man talk, man talk, man talk, man talk central. That's what we're doing here. Four dudes out of the mud, now we're ruling here. We give it to you, deliver like Amazon. You're listening to Kings and Champions. No matter what we're talking about, we're gonna give it to you straight, man, no doubt. No doubt. Hey yo, we on our way to greatness. God's got our back, so chill and relax. This is Man Talk Central. Welcome back to another episode of Man Talk Central. Let's get it.
All right, welcome to another episode of Man Talk Central. This podcast is about experiences and perspectives, right, wrong, or indifferent. You will get it raw and uncut. Before I go any further, please follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and or email us at the address below. Now, let me introduce to some and present to others. Three brothers like no other. Dan, good morning.
And how you doing? Good morning, everybody out there, and thanks for tuning in.
DJ Eddie T.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good morning, all. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoy the show.
And Colonel Esquire.
Hey, good morning. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Hopefully you guys are warm and safe wherever you're at. Some of us are snowed in with the weather, but in any event, let's go.
Standing, I'm your host, the law-abiding citizen. Today's topics, we'll follow up on our NFL playoff picks and what's going on to represent each division or conference. In the Super Bowl, we'll talk about the NCAA football championship. Indiana took it from Miami. Thoughts on the WNBA, right? Just, what you know. And some of the things that they're trying to do with the WM. However, another, team or franchise, not really franchise, but another group is created, something called the Unrivaled, for the young ladies so they don't have to travel across waters and have a situation like Brittany Griner. We'll talk about some current events, the winter storm that's going to cover about half of the U.S., right? Most of the U.S. Dabble in a little politics, talk about ICE, Greenland takeover, and Trump's comment on the civil rights movement. Ironically, as we are pursuing or moving towards the Black History Month. So with that being said, let's start with the NFL playoffs. We had the Broncos versus the Bills, Seahawks, Texas Bears. I believe we all were tied on the Bills and Broncos. Broncos won. However, did they really win? Because now they don't have their quarterback going into the championship game. What do you guys think about that? Floor is open. Colonel Esquire.
All right, well, I'm in a tough situation because, again, I don't like Denver or New England. But, let me go back and say I don't think that, it was a great game, Denver and Buffalo. I don't think that Sean McDermott should have lost his job, but I do understand it because, you're there for 9 years. We're always talking about Josh Allen. It seems to be a reason or justification for him not winning the big one or at least getting to the big game. So I think you had to, make a change at some point. Should it have been this year? Probably not. Should it have been a couple of years ago? Who knows? But I do agree at some point you got to change. Maybe this year probably wasn't the year though, or maybe change some key players out. But with that said, Denver's a good team. Denver's a good team. I don't know about the backup quarterback. He's played a few games, but he hasn't played, I think, in a couple of years. He hadn't had a snap or, touched the football in a couple of years. So really, New England should win this game. They should win the game. That doesn't mean they will win the game because that's why you have to play it. But I think they're going to develop a system to where Jason or Stidham doesn't have to, win the game for them. Don't have to make a lot of plays. They're going to rely on their defense. They're going to make sure they do like short passing stuff, short passing routes. They're going to make sure that he's not in a situation where they have to win the game. But with New England, you got to hit him in the mouth early. You know, you got to make him scramble. Like, this is your opportunity to go to the Super Bowl. I mean, yes, you got to go through Denver. You got to go and play. But if New England doesn't win this game, it's going to say a lot about their team, in my opinion, because they had the backup quarterback. They had him where they wanted. To RB3's point, Bo Nix has done a lot that people didn't expect them to do. So now that he's out, you know, I'm not a fan of anyone getting injured, but he's out. So you got to take advantage of it. And so I am going to go, I don't know if we're picking or not, but I'm, you know, reluctantly, you know, I'm going to pick them to win. It's kind of like picking between, you know, heart disease and diabetes. I don't want neither one of them. But with that being said, I think New England is going to the Super Bowl after this Sunday.
So is he heart disease or is he, let me stop. Okay, with that being said, you made a lot of valid points, First thing I will say, let's talk about the firing of, what's his name, Sean McDermott, right? 9 years, right? You always want consistency, right? And I think sometimes some teams jump too quick, even though 9 years is a long time, right? But is it the coach or is it the players? Right? Because when you think about it, Josh Allen had about 500 turnovers. He had more turnovers than I used to have when I played basketball in high school. Right? So, it's like, what do you do? Where do you where do you place blame at? Right? So, with that, I understand they want to go in a new direction. But on that same token, at some point in time, players need to be held truly accountable. If that was Dak Prescott having those 4 interceptions, get rid of his contract, move him out of Dallas, right? But, Josh Allen, you barely hear any conversation about that, right? If it was Lamar Jackson, and I'm not making this a racial thing by far, but there is some type of dialogue that goes with certain quarterbacks that don't go with other quarterbacks. So to your point, outstanding assessment. So we're going to move on over to DJ Eddie T. I'm going to let you do a little wrap up on the LA Rams and Chicago game.
I must say that was hurtful. I was really pulling for, I call him C-Dub, but it didn't work out for him. I thought that they were really going to show America that they could be the comeback team again, in which they almost did it, but they fell short. I really enjoyed the game. I really had no dog in the fight when I was pulling for Chicago. So with the loss that they had, it was like this past weekend I couldn't buy a game. The Bears lost, the Texans lost, and then Miami lost. I'm like, good Lord, I need to, get on somebody else's bandwagon, I guess. But it just wasn't in the cards. But hopefully, Seattle can do something and, keep moving forward. I'm pulling for them, of course. Never have been a Rams fan. Nothing against them, but yeah, I'm pulling for Seattle. I think they can get it done. I remember that one year where they got to the Super Bowl, got to the half-yard line and couldn't get it in with the 2 or whatever. Yeah, so I'm like, come on, Seattle, you can get it this go round. Yeah, so I'm pulling for those guys. As if from being, an ESPN analyst, I can't dig deep like he did. So after being a district attorney, he can definitely go to ESPN and have a future. I don't care what anybody says. He came up with some statistics that I didn't know anything about. So, yeah. Hey, hats off to you, my brother. So.
You made some great points, right? And the one point I really want to hone in on is Brother Williams. That quarterback for Chicago Bears played his butt off. I mean, you can't, so much was said last year, right? And here we go, talk about coaches again, right? That coach they had, they moved him out. They brought in Ben Johnson. All of a sudden, Caleb Williams was like a whole different player, right? Sometimes it's not really the play, it's the system, right? It's got to put you in a position to win. And I truly believe he showed that he is an NFL caliber quarterback and he's going to do great things. I was shocked that they got blown out the way they did, but at the end of the day, hey, hats off to both teams. And yeah, thank you. And then you made another comment in reference Ephraim going to ESPN. Yes, we are polling for Colonel Esquire to be a subject matter guest. Um, Child support and NFL players. And no, I'm joking. No, I'm messing with you. Thanks a lot, Eddie T. So
Yeah, but I
Dan, I'm
mean,
gonna let you talk. I'm
one more
sorry.
thing though, and I don't mean to take your time, Dan, but I mean, what hasn't Colonel Esquire done? So him working at ESPN, that would just be another, what did it say, rung in the ladder? I mean, come on.
There you go. Check it
I'm
off.
pulling for you.
Y'all out of
Listen.
control. I don't know what's going on this morning, but
So Dan, let's talk about the San Francisco and the Seattle game, my friend.
Frisco, Seattle. I was pretty surprised. I'm not gonna lie. I thought it was gonna be a closer game than it was. I predicted it to be the game of the week, and it ended up being just a slaughterhouse. Seattle went in there and just dominated. It was no question who was going to win that game from start to finish. Um, I just don't even know why the Niners showed up. To be honest with you, they're good players, good squad. Just had a bad day. And I think it's another feather in the cap for Mr. ESPN, Colonel Esquire, right
Yes.
there. Go ahead, let's get it, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that because I picked the 49ers to win, right? Because I was like, they're coming into their groove. Purdy's healthy. It just looked right. And then I was like, will the real Sam Donald show up? Right? Because again, all we have is what he has done, prior to, right? He was horrible with the Jets, right? And not saying he just probably didn't have a good system around him, right? But then he went to the Vikings, but he had a better players and he did pretty good. I think they had like a 14-3 record during that season, right? But wow, I was really impressed. And don't get me wrong, Seattle's my second team, but I picked the 49ers because I thought they was going into a group. Was it because Kittles was out? Unsure. But yeah, that worked. So who do you have with the Rams going against Seattle, Dan?
Fortunately, I got Seattle. I mean, and
Okay.
to be honest with you, when you talk about Donald being with the Jets, we got to be honest about it. They didn't have a good offensive line for him, so there was no development. Once he left, he started getting developed, and then he became the player he is today. If the Jets learned how to develop a quarterback, it'd be nice. Last good quarterback they had was Vinny, and then you could say Chad because Chad was awesome till he got hurt. And that why? Because of offensive line. And no, don't get me wrong, those guys are professional players, play way better than I play, but there are miscues and missteps along the way that did not help those quarterbacks develop. Once those
Right.
quarterbacks left, and you see a bunch of them that have left, they had pretty good careers. So the Jets are on the right path when it comes to picking a quarterback. It's just their offensive line cannot help that quarterback stay healthy.
Agreed. Agreed. Outstanding, outstanding. So, with all that being said, we're traveling into the NFC and AFC championship games. You got New England versus Denver. I know Ephraim, you picked New England. Dan, what do you have between New England and Denver?
I can't do New England. I'm sorry. As a Jets fan, true and true, I'm just going the opposite way. I'm going with Denver all the way, and there's no doubt about it.
So, if you was a betting man, you put some money up. Who would you pick?
I'm not really a bet man, but I still would go against New England. I'm sorry. I just lose
Okay,
that money.
that's just checking, just checking. DJ Eddie T, who do you have?
Man, I have to go with Denver just because I'm a cowboy and there's a horse on the side of the helmet. So that's what I'm going with. Straight
Got you,
up.
got you. And I'm gonna have to join my man Ephraim and go with New England with that. Seattle, Esquire.
um, you know, uh, that's a tough one. Seattle should win. They should win. I want them to win. I think I'm gonna go with the Rams. I think I'm gonna go with the Rams. I think because of the experience. I think because of uh, the coaching. I think the coaching is going to come into play because you have two very talented teams. I think it's going to come to adjustments. I think it's going to come down to coaching. And as much as I want Seattle to be there so I can rep Fort Lewis, Washington, I don't know. I think the coaching is going to be critical. It's going to be the one. It's going to be the point where we come back Monday or whatever or next week and talk about it. I think the Rams are going to the Super Bowl, even though I don't want them to. But that's my pick, LA Rams.
Got you. I would say both of them pretty equal, right? What I mean by that, when you log on a game, or if you double click the icon that shows the game and it shows the percentage, you can go down and see. So Rams might be 49.1, and Seahawks might be 50.9, because it could go either way. But what I will say is, one thing I noticed with the Rams, that receiver, what's his name? Nantucket? What's his name?
Other than Cup, I don't know the other guy.
No, for the Rams. For the Rams, he's awesome. I can't pronounce his name. I don't remember his name. But I believe it starts with an N. Right. But anyway, that dude has been dropping passes. He was probably the most sure-handed receiver all year long. Right. More so than that receiver for the Indiana Hoosiers. I think it was number 80 or whoever it was, who didn't drop a pass all year. That's in the next segment. However, I believe Rams had, they got a kink in their armor, right? So with that, I am going to have to slide with Ed and Dan on this, and I'm going to have to go with the home team, Seattle Seahawks. I believe it's going to be a close one. I'm predicting 28-24 type of score in this particular game. So it should be interesting.
I think they split the season series, right? 1-1, right?
I think so. Let me
Versus
check.
with the 49ers in Seattle. I think Seattle just swept them throughout the whole year and the playoffs. But I think it's going to
They
be a
did.
closer. And Stafford's he'll probably be the MVP. So I just.
Oh, without a doubt. Well, so this is what I will say, right? If Stafford loses this game, then it's going to be Drake May as the MVP, right? I believe that's how they're going to play it, right? Because both of them are kind of like 1 and 2, or 2 and 1, depending on who you talk to. So I believe this game right here is going to be the telltale on who gets the MVP. But to your point, Stafford, what he threw, about 94 touchdowns, 3 interceptions.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, who didn't he throw to? I mean, I didn't even think he had look, Stafford's, and he didn't even. Okay, let's talk about this. He set out preseason. Well, that's going to be a lot of senior quarterbacks be like, hey, man, I'll see you on first game of the season. We'll talk, right? We'll talk. We'll work through the bugs as we go through, right?
Right.
But all jokes aside, Stafford's one hell of a quarterback. He did a great job in Detroit, but man, moving him to the Rams, that was
Extended
pretty
his
iconic.
career probably 10 years.
Indeed. But don't get me wrong, golf, he's done pretty well with the Detroit Lions as well. So it wasn't like, yeah, I ain't gonna talk about the Detroit Lions. Can't stand them.
Man, it feels good to be doing this again. Reliving the days of my youth. I haven't had this much fun in a long time. Colonel Esquire. Also go by GIBSON. Ephraim G on the mic. It goes 1, 2, uno, dos. If I ain't the best, man, I gotta be close. Best thing since sliced bread, I gotta be toast. I'm a soldier, always guard the limits of my post. Yep, Man Talk Central. I'm one of your hosts. I'm on point, precise with the poetry and prose, making the grade like it's the end of the semester. I'm the crown flow, always under the weather, but I don't need a booster shot. I like my bar 6, so the music's hot. Delivering the kill shot, coup de grace. You know I stay fly. Fuselage, stay fly.
All right. Anyway, let's go ahead. Let's go to the next topic. NCAA football championship. Indiana versus Miami. My goodness. DJ Eddie T, talk to us.
Yes, I'm still, like I said, I'm still hurt. I just, I was pulling for the U. I just felt as if they had it in them. Like I said, that running gun, just boom, boom, boom all over the place against the structured team and, the coach that has no expression. I just felt as if they were going to, pull us off, especially having home field advantage. How many teams make it to the championship and get to play in their own? You're just right there.
This is how the coach looked.
Yeah, exactly. I got to put a little, smile on your face. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was very, very shocked at the outcome. Great game. I felt as if they still had a chance there at the very end, but he just, threw that interception and that ended their season, ended their run. Because, if he'd have led that quarterback a little bit, receiver a little bit, I think they would have beat him. I know, again, I'm a little partial to Bloomington, but in this case, I was pulling for the U. I just like what they had going on. So
Definitely. Dan, what are your thoughts?
Indiana did a good job. Unsung hero to me was the running back Black. Anytime you needed something, he was there. He picked up the ball. He carried that team. Granted, I get it that the storyline was Mendoza, the quarterback. But when you needed somebody to have your back, somebody to get you those yards, somebody to get you that first down or get you what you needed, what'd they do? They turned and handed off to Black. Black ran, and he ran like a champ. Now, granted, his line obviously did their job, but that dude was a beast. And I think he deserved a little bit more credit than what they gave him. I'm looking forward to seeing 50 Cent go ahead and do a piece on it, do a Netflix special, and let's see what we can get out of it. You know what I mean? I would tune in.
Outstanding. I agree with you. I agree with you. Ephraim, I'm sorry, excuse me, Colonel Esquire.
It's
Talk
all
to
good.
us.
I go by all of it. It's good. I answered all of it. It was a great game. And to Dan's point, the running back on both teams actually was a workhorse for their team. They were just running, just getting yards, chewing up yards. Like it was a great back and forth contest. Like I just enjoyed the game. I really enjoyed the game. Just when I thought Miami was gonna pull it out, Indiana comes back. Just when I thought Indiana was gonna go away with it, Miami comes back. So overall, I'm not disappointed either way. I mean, I'm actually a little irritated. Not irritated, but it's kind of disappointing that, a couple of things took place that really had nothing to do with the game, made front and center, page or whatever with Michael Irvin. They wanted to say that he was trying to, motivate the players, but they were saying they were trying to make it about him. And I completely disagree with that. Like, for one, that's his alma mater. I mean, there's been countless times where they've seen, they've invited him out, and not just with the Hurricanes. Deion Sanders invited him out to motivate his players. Like, he's just a motivational, inspirational guy, and so you're gonna want somebody like that on your sidelines. He doesn't. I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure if he really wanted to coach, he would have already been coaching. He wasn't trying to, position himself for a coaching job. He was just trying to get his alma mater to get fired up to pull out and win the game. So I think that was ridiculous. The second part about it, and to be honest, I didn't even know who the girl was. You know what I'm saying? I didn't even know who she was. You should just show a random fan on TV, and the next thing I know, they're making a big deal about her profession. All right, okay. So what's that got to do with the game? You see what I'm saying? And it's not like they showed her the whole time or went back and forth. I mean, it was like an 8 or 9 second clip, and then that was it. You know what I'm saying? And now they cause an undue stress on her, and being outraged. Okay, well, why are you outraged? You shouldn't even know who the girl is, in my opinion. So you tell them on yourself. You know what I'm saying? But I digress. But that has nothing to do with the game, and I think it took away from the greatness of the game between Indiana and Miami. But I didn't really, have a feeling one way or the other who was going to win. Obviously, we wanted Miami to win, but I'm not disappointed that Indiana won. I just wish that Miami would have been able to make history by being the first team to win on their home field. But it's a shame that it's not the NFL, because I would be looking forward to them, like a rivalry between those two schools based on those two teams. And the coaching and everything set up, it'd be great to see them play again in another playoff sometime down the road.
Gotcha. Great points. A lot of great points. Well, I would tell you, freedom of the press, right? It's a slippery slope in this business, right? Because you can interpret or state whatever you want about what you see, right? And it's all about the clicks. It's all about the likes, right? But what I will say is, talking about both teams, Indiana, great season. I was pulling for Miami for a lot of reasons. I believe Miami gave that game away with the missed field goal and the blocked punt. However, you got to play the game, and just so happened Indiana had the right play at the right time. I will say Mendoza, he proved to be a solid NCAA quarterback. What will happen when he gets to the NFL? Unsure. Where's he going to go? Who's going to be his coach? But he has a very spiritual background, And what was funny was in his press or in the interview prior to him leaving the field, he was so excited. But one thing that he said caught my eye. I caught my ear. He has said, we're trained to say certain things during these interviews, right? So, but then he was like, "Look, I'm just glad it's over with. I'm ready to move on." I think he dropped couple words, like an F-bomb or something like that, because he was just happy, he was motivated. And then people automatically want to attack. Well, he's been spiritual the whole year. Why all of a sudden did he say this, that, and the other? Man, please, folks, get off the high horse, man. He's a human being, excited. No telling what he's put into this, what his family has put into this. He's there with his little brother. I mean, so it's a lot of emotions that young man was going through. So I'm just glad that he was able to be him. Big ups to him. And a big plug for his brother. I believe he's going to Georgia Tech next year. He's transferring to Georgia Tech. So that's going to be interesting to see.
Hey,
As
real
far
quick,
as
my
yes,
bad,
sir.
real quick. Didn't Mendoza, he got turned down by Miami, right?
Yes, yes, he did. Good point. Good point. So it's like, who was the options then? But then I think University of Miami, that quarterback, he's been in college about 9 years. Don't get me wrong, I know he was injured, but he was an outstanding football player at Georgia, right? Before he came, I think he got hurt, then he came to the University of Miami. So looking at someone that was proven, that already had a chip, over someone who's just coming out of high school, I probably would have went that route as well. No pun intended. However, University of Miami, they played just as well. They played hard. The secondary, they looked confused a couple of times. They knew the back shoulder passes was coming, but I think it was number 24. Don't remember exactly, but they could not. They didn't adjust well. But at the end, it doesn't take away from a great season. I was really waiting on folks to say, well, if it was Notre Dame, Notre Dame would have been. But I'm glad that narrative didn't come out. As far as Michael Irvin, if you notice, there was a lot of professional Hall of Fame players that was on the sideline, or University of Miami graduates or prior players that came back to help. Right. One thing I will say is that support for that alumni association, that football team is the reason people know about University of Miami, right? Because truth be told, back in the early '80s, I mean, it was like Glen Pools Elementary. It was just one building, with about 20 doggone classrooms, right? So that football program really put Miami on the mark, right? So
Well, 30 for 30 helped a bunch as well.
oh, without a doubt, without a
yeah.
doubt. And it's funny because they're like, well, no, this team's the best. This team's the best. This team's the best. I mean, they got a lot of teams to choose from. They got a lot of Hall of Fame players to choose from to say who is the marquee person. But the marquee person really is Michael Irvin. He's always been a lifeblood, most motivational person that when you look at teams that you hear about, right? And the crazy thing is he's motivating, but not only is he motivating, his work ethic backs that up, right? So I believe that's why people listen to what he says, So I'm very happy that he got drafted, came to Dallas Cowboy, all that.
Can't forget Uncle Luke. Uncle
Oh,
Luke.
yeah. Hey, but anyway, that but just to close that piece out, big ups to Indiana, big ups to University of Miami. It was a great time, great situation, great game, and it was worth what it was marked up to be. Any other alibis regarding this championship game?
Yeah, one little piece though, and I agree with you, Ephraim, about those two situations overshadowing the game. Because you got Ray Lewis, who's a great motivational speaker. He goes to plenty of games, and nobody has that take for him when he shows up to give a motivational speech before a game. And then the other caveat is the young lady's profession. There's other people that are in that same profession that go out to games that are more recognizable, and nobody's saying anything about them. So I don't know where ESPN was trying to go with that narrative, or whoever was going with that narrative, because it has come out, and you do see the memes, and you do see it, and then you go research, and you're like, who is this person? But come on. Why are we going in that direction when we got a great football game going on? We should just stick to the great football game. It writes itself for its own story.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the fact that, I didn't realize this too. I guess she's a student at University of Miami.
Yep.
So Now, I mean, I don't know the situation, but in my mind, you're like, okay, she's just trying to do what she's got to do to get her degree to possibly get out of that situation. And now you making life harder for her because of that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I mean, obviously the cameraman was a fan, but let's deal with the cameraman. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we need to, do a little better vetting process before you start hiring your cameraman. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like,
Didn't they kind of troll someone's girlfriend a couple years ago? Was it Alabama's quarterback? You guys remember that?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when you're a quarterback at Alabama, you see that lovely lady there. She does go to Auburn, I want to admit that. But she also, Miss Alabama, and that's A.J. McCarron's girlfriend, okay? And right there on the right is Dee Dee Bonner. That's A.J.'s mom. Wow, I'm telling you, quarterbacks, you get all the good-looking women. What a beautiful woman. Wow.
AJ's doing some things right down in
So if you're a youngster in Alabama, start getting the football out and throw it around the backyard with moms.
I know they did one guy's mother. Well, they've done a couple of their mothers, like Sam Donald and all of them. It's like, come on, man. What are we doing? And, you take away from the game when you start doing that. But that's just, I don't know, internet trolls doing their thing.
Right.
With this game. But you are correct. There's plenty of quarterbacks with their girlfriends have been trolled, their moms or their aunts or whatever, what have you. We're just taking away from the game and what these young men are accomplishing. If you want to do your side thing on your own, leave us out of it. You know what I mean? We're trying to watch a game.
That's right.
No doubt.
That's why we're never going to politics.
Hey, you know what? I'll just be straight up and up front. Look, my name is Robert Barnes III, and I'm running for governor. These are the things that I have done in my past. In between classes in high school, I used to go into different rooms and have young ladies meet me there. Okay, that's a different story. But anyway, I'll be honest and up front. I put all my business out there. Hey, when I first got to my first duty station, every Friday we would hit the strip club. Now, I didn't have much money, but I used to give up about $16. You know what I'm saying? Drink, 3 ones, I'm just saying. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not doing it. I couldn't even be president of the Parent Teachers Association. All the stuff I've done. I'm just gonna sit right here and talk about this on the podcast. Do not have me.
Hey, everybody has a past, right? And that's the most hurtful thing that we have in this society nowadays, right? Everybody wants to find some type of kink in your armor, right? But no telling what's going on in their closet, right?
Yeah, well, that goes back to the word,
Yeah.
He who's without sin, throw the first stone,
Yeah.
So, I don't understand why people feel as if they need to bring negative spotlight upon someone else just so they can get ratings or whatever the case is.
And everybody has a past. Granted, we all understand that. And yeah, throwing stones at a glass house, because that might be your own house. That whole proverb and all that, or excuse me, that old saying. But the deal is we have an awesome game that writes itself. It's its own story. Why do we need these sub stories within the main stories that had nothing to do with it, that just distract away from the greatness that we're being provided with at that time? That just doesn't make any sense. It's like over here and in Squirrel, stop. You know what I mean? What are we doing?
And we'll end it right there.
Coming right at the gate with no delay, getting started right away. Got a little bit to say. First off, glory to the Lord each and every day. He's the truth and the life. He's the only way. He's the potter, I'm the clay. What more can I say? Need to get him in your life. Hurry up, I'm the late. Getting that out of the way. Now we go on with our day. Gonna keep giving you bars, cause you know my resume. Treat the music like a crime, I'm a predicate. Cause I be murdering beats with the nouns, verbs, and the predicates. Hard, never delicate. No, cause when it comes to a hater, see you later. We gotta stay separate. Bye-bye. Ain't no doubt, I'm the one you can lean on. Man talk searches what I be on. No doubt. Cause every time you turn the beat on, my flow stay hot like a furnace in your house. Whenever you turn the heat on.
All right, so we're not going to touch on the WNBA today, but we're going to talk about this winter storm that's coming across. I know Colonel Esquire posted some pictures of, he went to about 18 stores and he took pictures of what he saw during that time frame. And he's a reporter as well. And so the question is, why do people? I mean, literally, I have seen buggies with like 30 big ass large buckets of toilet paper and things of that nature, right? Now don't get me wrong. If the store opened on Monday and they loaded up and people shopped all week and you get there on Friday, okay, that's on you. But I've seen people 3, 4, 5 carts because they're scared of the fallout. I don't know if you guys remember when we were switching from 1999 to 2000. Everybody stayed up at midnight because they thought we all was gonna die, right? They thought it was going to be. I mean, what the hell's going on? So, Colonel Esquire, since you was beat reporter, you was on foot, you had a chance to experience certain things. Please talk to us.
You know, I don't even want to talk about it too much because I'm just going to crash out, as the kids say, and just go off on the whole situation, right? So, literally, right now, as we're doing this podcast, I got the TV on, and I'm watching the news. And the news, they got all these fools out here, these reporters, standing out in the snow, reporting about the snow.
Yeah, Dave, I think the worst part out here right now is the wind and the thick chunks of snow falling. And we have seen a lot of drifting on the roads, a lot of snow plows going by. And I would say there's a couple inches. I mean, my boots are sinking in the snow. And it's a little hard to see out here. I would say if you can stay off the roads, definitely do that. On my drive in this morning, the bridges were definitely a little slick. So I think the safest bet would be to stay off the roads. And the wind chill, like Stacia said, is pretty brutal out here. And the snow is still coming down. So we'll have the latest updates as those continue. Dave?
It's the middle of January. It's wintertime. That's what happens. You have spring, summer, fall. Oh, by the way, winter. Ice, snow, colder weathers since the beginning of time. Why is it news? You see what I'm saying? And I got it. Oklahoma, whatever, wherever you're living, if you don't get a whole lot of snow or ice, whatever, it's the news. Okay, it's your job, their job to report. Okay, we got winter storm coming. Be sure you stock up on all your supplies, all right? Okay, they started doing this a couple weeks ago. Why do we wait until the evening before the snow? Oh, snap, we got to go buy out everything. You see what I'm saying? And then you're selfish. You're buying all this stuff, the toilet paper, the paper towels. You're buying all the stuff that you don't even need. And guess what? We're in Oklahoma. So I know I'm going to get criticized for this, but a lot of these people in Oklahoma can afford to skip a couple meals. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be okay if you go, 12 hours without eating. It'll be okay. It'll be all right. You'll be okay.
Comments expressed by Colonel Esquire is endorsed by all of us on this channel. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Colonel Esquire.
I'm just saying. It irritates me. And people are so selfish as far as like their supplies. And they talk about what we got. I mean, why are you buying all the pinto beans? Why are you buying all the cottage cheese? Like, why are you buying all this stuff you don't even eat? You know what I'm saying? Like what?
Man.
Like, I don't get it. Like, winter happens every year. Every single year since we've been alive, we've had winter, right? I mean, so you just prepare accordingly. I got it. I mean, I got it. You got to go to the store. And I went to the store because it was like, oh, I want some cheese and crackers. I'm not going to the store because it's like, oh, snap, we're going to have 3-4 inches of snow, so I got to buy out everything. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, it's almost like defensive driving in the Aldi, trying to get through everything. I mean, it's just dumb. I mean, I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, but anyway, I know I've taken away from.
No, you're good. You're good.
It's just dumb to me. Like,
yeah,
I got it. If you live in Florida or San Antonio or Houston or someplace where it doesn't snow, or Vegas, somewhere you don't get a lot of bad weather. Okay, you got to stock up on some supplies or whatever, because if the power goes out or whatever the case is. But we're in Oklahoma. We get ice and snow every single year. It's not going to be like Minnesota or Detroit or whatever, but it's wintertime. Like, what are we doing? Anyway, I'm done. Y'all have it.
Yeah, DJ Eddie T.
Yes, sir. Well, to follow up with Colonel Esquire, I think it's more on a serious note. I think it's more of a power outage thing that people panic because people don't know how long power will be out. Now, as we all pretty much grew up in Oklahoma, we know that there is a winter every year. But for whatever reason, they're feeling as if this one is going to be, the non-typical winter, the ice and all of that good stuff. So I think that's why people up there panic. Now, as far as people down here panicking, I guess we just need a reason to panic. So, because, during hurricane time, they give us plenty notice, just like they've given us plenty notice on this winter storm warning. They give us at least a week and a half to 2 weeks to get prepared. People still wait till the eve to go and grab everything. Why? I don't know what it is about toilet paper. To this day, I don't understand. But for whatever reason, toilet paper is a thing. I guess the crap is being scared out of you or something. I don't know. Because it is, people have rolls and rolls and rolls of toilet paper. I don't see a lot of food, in people's baskets, but as you go through the stores, you see where, like the picture that Colonel Esquire took the other day, bread, gone. I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me either. But again, if you're without power, I guess you figure, well, I can't cook anything. At least we can do is make sandwiches or something. But Colonel Esquire mentioned cottage cheese. I need to check that next time I go to the store during panic time to see if the the cottage cheese is gone. Because when you're home a lot during the holidays, I know during the holidays when you're off, people snack a lot. So that might be another one of the reasons why people are just grabbing whatever. I did go to the store last night. I grabbed some chips and salsa. Okay, hey, if we're without power, we're without power. But, felt a little snacky. So, but yeah, Colonel Esquire, you have made your point. I don't understand it, but hey, we get to do it twice. So hurricanes and ice, I like it. I'm ready for it.
Dan, what are your thoughts?
I agree with you guys. As funny as it may seem, it's like everybody turns into that little squirrel that's chasing a nut in the beginning of the Ice Age movies, and they're just running around, get ready for the winter. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. And yeah, how many years you've been alive, and it's winter's going to happen every year, right? So what I don't understand is the toilet paper or the eggs. If I'm without power, how am I going to cook my eggs? I can understand people getting, camping gear or stuff like that because, you're going to want to keep warm in your own house. You ain't got no power. Some people don't have electric heaters or generators for their house. Excuse me, because you can't use electric heater if you ain't got no power. But you ain't got no generator for your house. So, you're going to get cold. You're going to need something to warm up. So these guys might grab sleeping blankets or whatever, or charcoal because you're going to cook outside, Things that are practical that you can use when you don't have power. If I don't have power, I can't use my oven. Common sense. Let's grab some charcoal. Let me fire up the grill. I gotta eat. Things like that I could understand. Toilet paper, eggs. What I'm gonna do? Fry eggs on the grill? Okay. The other thing, though, is I do understand the gas stations why they would be packed. People stopping to go get gas, fill up the car, because you never know when you're going to have to do or what you're going to have to go get somebody, or you might have an elderly person cross town that you might have to go over and go get. And gas is, gas stations may be closed. So you never know what would arise in that situation. But some of the stuff that they're pulling out of these stores is just ridiculous. People are just panicking way too much. It's unexplainable. And then they look at you as if you got a problem. Hey, bro, we all lost our common sense and our common decency when you're trying to rush to the counter and you're fighting over a bottle of water in a store. Come on, man. Let's get real.
Yeah. Great point. Great points. Well, you know what I will say is I happened to be in the ice storm of 2014 in Georgia. You know, Georgia's not known for ice or snow, so everybody's like, okay. It is what it is. I ended up being without power for about 5 days. All luckily, I had a wood burning fireplace, but that went very quickly. And I'll be honest with you, because I didn't take it serious and didn't go buy any more wood, I almost started burning up furniture. If the furniture was gone, hey, I was gonna have to burn up some kids. Who's the youngest? Hey, you expendable, doggone it. But with that being said, it did bring me to a new way of thinking when people talk about that. But luckily, food, I always make sure that the deep freezer and my refrigerator is always loaded with some food, right? And to your point, Dan, you know, got propane tanks, got charcoal. But this is the interesting point. I know families who just have an EV, electrical vehicle, right? So let's say their power goes out, no generator, they are not going to move. And I'm speaking from that because I have an EV vehicle, but we do have some gas vehicles as well. But it's just a simple fact, like, oh crap, I wouldn't be able to drive that vehicle because if you plug it up into a regular 110, I think it'll be charged by the time I come see you guys in May. So you know, there's some issues. There's some issues out there. Reference those individuals running to the cash register to pay out with 500 pounds of toilet paper and things of that nature. You do know you can get in the shower and wash your ass. You know, your water still, well, might be froze, but hopefully it's not. Your pipes might, but it is what it is. But at the end of the day, hopefully this storm will go through. No injuries, no, like, yes, sir.
My bad. Just before we move on, this experience, I think I'm gonna officially retire from shopping at Walmart, right? And so, you go to Walmart, it's chaos. You know what I'm saying? Half the time, if you trying to fight with people over supplies and food versus having to be a defensive driver or a defensive walker because you got the old ladies in them little motorized carts, wreaking havoc all through the aisles, weaving and in and out. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, man, get your tag registered. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got no insurance on that thing. Like, get out of here. Let's. What are you doing? Versus if you go to, like, everybody's got their local grocery store. Like, if you're from Oklahoma or Tulsa area, it's Reese's, right? You guys, what, HEB down there?
Correct. We have a few.
Okay, a few, and then like Giant and stuff on the East Coast. Totally different experience. Oh, pardon me, young lady. Here. Would you like me to get that for you? Sure. Get off the shelf, walk through. How was your day, good sir? Mine's great. It's all a pleasant experience when you're shopping. Versus I'm in the green zone in Fallujah when I'm at Walmart. You know what I'm saying? I'm out. I'm good. I'm good. My bad,
Well,
y'all.
On that note, we're in the segment with that comment right there.
yeah.
The green zone in Fallujah? Okay.
Wow.
So since we're
That's
talking
military,
about,
obviously.
yeah, since we're talking about winter snow, let's talk about the ice situation, right? They've been in the press.
Okay.
Yeah. They've been in the news since the beginning, right? You know, these $50,000 bonuses they're giving to folks and all that great stuff. But just kind of like, I just want y'all thoughts on like the way ahead, because I think Donald Trump made a comment the other day in reference to Yeah, the visibility or the press that they're getting isn't really good, right? Something to that nature. In a sense, it's like he's acknowledging that there's some jacked up stuff going on, but he just hates that it's posted. He doesn't mind that it's happening, but so just what's your thoughts on just ICE in general? I'm gonna start with you, Dan.
Real talk, man. This is just my personal opinion. It's been going on for a while for more presidents than number 45, 47. Got to understand that. I think it's more polarizing with him because of the way they're doing it, and it's being put on display more often. Some of these guys aren't being held accountable for their actions, is what the problem is. For me, you see police officers who do this to African Americans all the time, and they're not being held accountable. But this is falling along that same line. If they started holding some of these guys accountable and start changing some of the ways, and if you actually have some of the higher ups coming down saying, "Hey, this is unacceptable. We'll review the policies," then we can see what's going on. I still stick behind what I said originally, where they need to reevaluate their supervision. They need more training. I don't know if you guys see that training has been cut in half with those guys, so they're not being trained as much as they were before.
More OJT.
Pardon me?
No, I said more OJT.
Yes, sir. Something. There needs some common sense. People need to step in. It's just not a very good look as it was in the past. It was more under the rug. It wasn't as polarizing as it is today. And I think that's what the problem is. Granted, they're going after people that are actually working and trying to do a good job to make this country better. And that's what the confusion comes in. That's where people don't understand what's going on. And that's where I'm confused at. If these people are actually at a job site and they're trying to make a living, they're trying to do what's right, but you're telling us ICE is going after the criminals, how is that possible? Doesn't make sense to me.
Great point. Great point. DJ Eddie T.
Down here, we see it, more often than I would think. Some of the other states, I guess, just because of our large Hispanic community, they're really, again, as Dan had stated, they're targeting people who are going to work. We had spoke on this a few episodes back, but I call it the low-hanging fruit. You don't go after someone who's contributing to your community, I feel. Initially when this started, it was supposed to be for, like you said, the criminals, the rapists, the drug dealers, the gang members. And I don't look at the statistics or whatever, but in all, I wonder how many of those have they truly captured. I wish they would show that, as opposed to you dragging this man away from his family and his kids and his wife are crying, who was literally picked up on a job site. And going to the training part, I don't know what type of training these guys get. You guys had mentioned they were cutting it in half. They had cut it in half. If one of you can share with me, typically is it a 3-month deal, 6-month deal? I mean, what is it that they're doing when they're training? See, that's another thing. I don't know what
Yeah,
that is, but
it
go
used to
ahead.
be quite a few weeks, and now it's like I want to say we'll have to look up the clip again, but it's like 8-week course or something like that. I remember sending the clip out of CNN where they were broadcasting one of the guys announcing what they were cutting it to, and I remember sending the actual news clip out. But it's not as long as it used to be, so I think they need to go back to what they were before.
Right. And then it's like they're not identifying themselves really. They're not giving these people an opportunity to show that they are citizens. Again, the media will show you what they want to show you. But I would think that if someone is properly trained, you walk up, you ask someone for their credentials, they present them, okay, you let them go and rock on. You don't harass them. Or you just assume that they're, an illegal immigrant, and you don't give them an opportunity to explain or anything. You just snatch them up and throw them in a car and take them somewhere to some detention camp, and their families never see them again. I think that's unfair and unfortunate for that to occur. So, yeah, they really have to do something different. But as we always say, once it happens to the correct person, then that's when things will change, in my opinion.
So to your point, DJ Eddie T, training used to be 5 months long for ICE agents, but they reduced the training to 47 days to honor the current president.
47 days.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Again,
That's what I was
being
getting ready to
about
say.
people.
It's an 8-week training, 47 days, and that's including the six working days per week. So, and that's from Mr. Ted Lyons, as confirming. He confirmed it. So, and he was what, the ICE acting director at the time when he confirmed that. And that was the article that was sent out.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Eddie T.
Again, so it's about him, correct? Again.
Correct.
So, yeah, yeah, okay. I mean, I didn't have a question, but it was kind of like, wow.
Yeah. And you brought up a good point reference to stats, right? I do believe, if stats was being shown, truthful stats was being shown in reference to the categories that people that were being taken in custody was listed, that would be great. But we can't trust anything that is being put out nowadays, right? Because it makes it seem like everybody that they apprehend is a pedophile, gang member, or has done something illegal outside of crossing into the U.S., right? So even if they do post stats, we have to be mindful, because I think we just have to be mindful that, there's some serious gray area there, right? When he was 45, they had a lot of fraudulent things they would post. In 47, a lot of fraudulent, inaccurate things that have been posted. So, but that would help regular American citizens like us if they did post stats. Colonel Esquire.
All right. Well, first off, I think the training being cut to 47 days. I mean, that's crazy. It's also probably one of the most gangster moves I've seen in a long time. I can't even comment on that other than that. I mean, just crazy. I've thought a lot about ICE, and I've thought a lot about what's been going on, and I'm not going to defend them. I'm just hoping that there's a method to the madness. And so I don't have a problem with our country or any country enforcing their laws and, administering border control. I think it's needed. I think it's necessary. I mean, I can't just go into, I don't know, Bangladesh or Turkey or whatever without legally getting there or getting permission. All right. So I don't have an issue with that per se. I just question maybe the methods that they're going about it. And I want to bring it back to my line of work. Okay. So if, I'm driving down the road and I'm speeding and I get pulled over and I get a citation, I have to appear in court. I get notice. If I don't show up, they're going to issue a bench warrant. So, but on the other hand, if I'm driving and I'm speeding and I'm drinking, or I got weed in the car, I got a gun in the car, something like that, I'm probably going to go to jail because the level of my crime or what a violation is higher. You see what I'm saying? So if you're picking up people that are going to their job, right? Or, for example, I just read a story the other day, an article, I don't know if it's true or not, I have to vet it to see, but I guess some ICE agents went in at a restaurant to eat, and then after they finished eating their meal, they detained the servers that waited on them for the meal, which is completely out of line, right? But maybe those people got notice. Maybe those people got, letters in the mail from ICE or whatever, or from the immigration services, and they didn't show up, which is why they're being targeted. I don't know. All right. But I'd like to see more of that, more transparency as far as what's going on. Why are they picking up these people? Why are they so aggressive the way they're aggressive? You know what I'm saying? So again, it's border control. I don't have an issue with, because I think it's necessary. I think it's every country has it. I don't have any issue with that whatsoever. I just question some of the methods. All right, I question some of the methods, and there could be some decent ice agents out there. I'm sure there are a lot of decent ice agents out there. So I know that with everything, we're going to see the 10 to 15, 20% of the bad stuff, right? I'm just hoping that 20% that I'm hoping it is not really in reality 80% of what's going on out there. So I just think that there just needs to be more transparency. And there definitely needs to be some more training and some more accountability. I mean, even from the standpoint of, me, like, based on my time and my training, I look at a report, a police report. If there's not probable cause in the police report, we're not, or to support the crime, we're not going to file the charges. Or there are going to be charges that we may downgrade. Okay, well, this guy really wasn't doing this, but he was doing that. And that could be the difference between a felony or a misdemeanor. You see what I'm saying? So I just wish that, we can't see all of it, but I wish we could see more than what we're allowed to see.
Well stated. What I will say is I'll start with training. You've been a military personnel. I just talked about my particular military occupational skill while I was serving. When there was a hefty number of deployments going back and forth across waters, a lot of the centers of excellence, I was a signal guy, cyber guy. So my training was around 7.5 months, but they reduced it, right? They reduced it so they could have more individuals eligible to go down range. And so what did they take out? Did they take out things that was very valuable? Yeah, I'm sure. But it's things that you can learn on the job. So OJT. So I think if there was again, it's all about visibility. So if they posted, hey, ICE agents, 5 months training, but we're reducing it to 47, 57 days. This is what was taken out. Because sometimes it's just the theory of things and you can kind of do some of that on your own, right? So, without knowing all the full spectrum of what was removed from their training, we just can't look at the days. As far as process and procedures, what you're referring to, Colonel Esquire, that's what we're all required to do, follow process and procedures, right? And then go through the normal process. And, if it's deemed that you came here and, wrong or whatever, then so be it. But just to be picked up, separated from your family, kids, you can't even find your kids are separated in different locations. That's a little bit rough, right? And it's really painful when I hear, especially some of my Facebook colleagues or, just people in general, when they talk about that, they don't care. There's not, they don't have a humanitarian bone in their body because all they're saying, well, they're illegal. They should have came here. I get all that, but we all want a better way of life for not only ourselves, but for our family. So I can see kind of the eaches, but again, if you pick me up, take me through the racket, but allow me due process, and we'll go from there. You're right, reference to border control. We do need stronger border control, right? But as we have learned through our development in life, our walk in life, we realize that there's a whole bunch of crookedness in America, right? So it's almost like border control, it's only going to be so good for many reasons, right? And I'll just touch on one reason. A lot of the jobs that a lot of immigrants, when they come over here and do, the average American citizen does not want to do those jobs. But these individuals coming over here willing to get paid less money to do a really good job, right? So it's like, come on now. It used to be the American way. Well, now the American way is, like, example, when we're young, our parents said right and wrong, yes and no, right? There was no gray area, was there? No. There was no gray area. She said, don't go in there and, eat the last 3 cookies, Eddie T. Eddie T like, take a little piece, just take a, didn't I say don't touch it? Now, mind you, didn't eat the whole cookie. You just ate a little piece of it. You were wrong. Now, as adults, we're learning that maybe no is really yes. It's almost along those lines where it's okay to do wrong things. It's okay. Up under the 45 and 47th presidency, it's okay to be a person that don't have a strong character. It's okay to lie to the public. It's okay to make sure all my family members are going to receive, money for the rest of their life. The generational wealth just continues to grow. It's okay to file bankruptcy. It's okay. Okay, that's a different story. Anyway, very good conversation. Reference ICE. Yes, Eddie
I have one
T.
more thing. Now, I think, and this is just a personal opinion, I think that there are certain groups out there that aren't ICE agents that are actually going around acting as if they are ICE agents and doing things. That's just me. That's just where I
That's
live.
possible.
It's just how I feel. I
That's
just
possible.
know that, you have some people in the world that sit around and come up with ways to, torment people. And I think a certain group of people will, do things like that. I mean, that's just my opinion. Because if you have a group of people that do not have to identify themselves, who's to say that you don't have fake? You have fake cops out there. I mean, they catch them all the time. So especially with this deal, with with Amazon and with everything else, man, you can order whatever you want, get it delivered the next day. A group of guys go out torment people. Again, that's just something I threw in, but I would really like to have people, if you are an official, I think that you should show some sort of something stating that that's what you are. And again, a lot of times, you don't even have to believe them, but still, I think that at least show that part of it, as opposed to just being quiet and snatching up someone and throwing them in a vehicle and, in a sense, disposing them. Because I'm pretty sure that there are a lot of these people that they have detained that we have no idea where they are.
Correct.
I guarantee you that some of that has occurred.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's my spiel.
Great point. Great point. We have one last topic to talk about, and we're kind of along those same lines. We're going to talk about the civil rights comment that Trump made in reference to how he feels that it disenfranchised white men in America. What are your all's thoughts on that? I'm going to start with Colonel Esquire.
It's really like I don't even know why I should even entertain the foolishness of that comment first and foremost, because it's not. It was to enable minorities or people in general the same opportunities that white males were getting. It's not. I can't. As an attorney, they're not going to hire me because I'm black. They're going to hire me because I went to law school, passed the bar, and my qualifications / potential chemistry with the office or the organization is going to get me the job. Yes, I do understand that there were quotas, affirmative action, things of that nature, but you can't even get the job if you're not even qualified. So, the Civil Rights Movement, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 didn't hurt anybody, and in fact, it helped society as a whole. Diversity, inclusion, different ideas, different mindsets, camaraderie, unity, the whole thing. I mean, that's why personally, Harry S. Truman is my favorite president because he's the one that integrated race into the armed forces. He's the reason that I'm able to be where I'm at today because they allowed minorities in the military. He recognized that because the Civil War, blacks fought in the Civil War, and even though they fought for freedoms that really wasn't theirs, essentially. But Truman recognized that, and so I just, the fact that we're even having this discussion is kind of silly to me, not even worth entertaining. But at the end of the day, you still got to get the voice out there because you still got to let people know it's not right, and people aren't being hired, for the sake. Well, I guess let me back up a little bit. There are probably people that are being hired that shouldn't be hired, but I don't think that has anything to do with the Civil Rights Act more so than it does with nepotism and the good old boy network and hey, I'm going to bring somebody in here that I know, and that transcends race in general. It doesn't even matter. Like you and I, we all going to get some people that we are going to know that are going to fit well with us, and we're not going to have any issues with or whatever. We're not going to hire somebody just for the sake of hiring them. We're going to hire them based on how they're going to fit with what we're trying to do, regardless if they're black, white, Hispanic, and different, or whatever the case is. I just, the Civil Rights Act was needed. In fact, it's a shame that we even had to have a Civil Rights Act passed. You see what I'm saying? And so, yeah, that's just my thoughts on it. You got to be qualified to even do the job. They're not going to hire you just simply because of your color or whatever the case is. And maybe that's part of what was going on. Maybe, people were being hired that were not qualified. And maybe the Civil Rights Act kind of put a stop to a lot of that, and people are outraged. I don't know. I just know that with me and everything that I've done, yes, I've been very fortunate to be placed in some of the situations I've been put in, but I had to be qualified. I had to do the work to even be qualified to do that. So that's it for me.
Great point. Dan?
A couple of things, and I'm definitely going to be to the far extreme on this one, probably in some people's views. But when he said that civil rights, what did he say, led to white people being treated very badly, or something to paraphrase it, that was reminiscent to me of the old Confederates when they were trying to have the issue with slavery and it being abolished. Yeah, that's how I took it. Maybe I took it the wrong way, but I was not happy about that because I worked hard to be in the position that I was in. And a lot of the civil rights helped us as far as being treated fairly and giving us those opportunities. We still had to go to the same schools everybody else had to go through. We still had to do all the work everybody else had to go through. It just, to me, that act helped me get looked the same way as my counterpart who was not African American. So when you sit down and you look at a piece of paper, granted my name says one thing, his name says another, if the accolades are the same, then how do you figure out how you're going to hire them? Well, somebody's got to have a better qualification. Then you're supposed to hire the best qualified person for the job. That's how it's supposed to roll out. It's not how it has been rolling out. A lot of times what they do is they will, and I don't know if you guys have ever talked to your grandparents or and about how some of the jobs were at the beginning. It was rough for them to get a job, but I'm pretty sure what they first started doing, and this is just my personal opinion, is they would hire somebody and say, look, this is what we got. This is why we can't have this. They can't even do the job, and that person wasn't even qualified to do the job. I'm not a big fan of the way he's leaning when he says these kind of things. I think they're divisive. I think they separate our nation. I think it gives certain people a viewpoint that they can run this country the way they wanted to run it back in the old days. And even when he said that just because a boat landed on your country, 500 years ago, means you own the country. Well, boat landed here. Does that mean you own the country? Excuse me, doesn't mean you own the country. Boat landed here. Did you own the country? You know what I mean? So I take his thing with a grain of salt. I wait for these 4 years to get over, and hopefully we can get back on the right path. Or he's got some kind of plan that he needs to let us know what's going on, because I'm not feeling very confident that we're heading in the right direction as a nation.
Thank you, sir. Eddie T.
Let me read something real quick. Civil Rights Act was signed into law by President Lyndon B. Johnson on July 2nd, 1964. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 is a landmark piece of legislation that ended legal segregation in public accommodation schools and workplaces. It prohibited discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin, becoming the most significant civil rights legislation since Reconstruction. So with that being said, I don't know why 47 feels as if white men have anything to do with the Civil Rights Act. I mean, other than signing it. That's the part that, kind of throws me. And then going back to what I didn't personally hear him say, but I read that he stated that they should get reparations as well. So again, reparations for what? Now, I did not fact check, so I don't want people coming after me saying, hey, you're wrong, you're wrong. It's just something that I read. So I should have fact checked that before I brought it up, but what does it have to do with what the whole bill was about initially? So I can't speak a whole bunch about that because it's somewhat bothersome that someone would even try to, I guess, play victim in something like this and try to get others the glory and get back pay on something. It's just, the whole thing to me is just, it's sickening. And it's very, very frustrating, again, that someone wants to turn it around and make it about them. So that's where I stand on that. It's just, yeah, I'm gonna just leave it at that.
I got you. Well, everybody made very valid points. What I would tell folks listening to this is please educate yourself on the history of racism. So when Donald Trump comes with that comment about white men really, they controlled America when you think about it. And when the civil rights movement came in, it gave other people the opportunity to be equivalent to them, where they have always wanted to be superior to everybody, right? So when you think of it from that standpoint, he's like, oh shit, we're losing. Because you think it's more minorities in America than ever before, right? Education has helped all minority groups to do better things for their families. I'm sure each of us have had that look when you move into a residential area, and it might just be 1, 2, 3 of us in a residential area, and everybody's looking like, well, okay, well, what do they do, right? So that's interesting. It's very interesting to me that was even allowed, that nobody rebuked that, and I'm just really appalled that it's news, right? But I will say, from my time in the military, I remember we had this 2-star general that came through, and we had to brief him on what we was doing downrange. Downrange meaning we was deployed, and he looked at our command wall. The command wall is where you have all your officer leadership and the seniors enlisted advisors that support them. Well, all the officers were Caucasian. But the one thing, when he looked at the command wall, all the senior enlisted advisors, we all were black. And he said, what's wrong with this right here? I said, what do you mean, sir? He was like, there's no diversity here. In my CSM, I saw him out of my right eye. He was trying to get to me. The first thing I said, yeah, there's no diversity in the command in the officer channel either. But he was just pointing at the enlisted piece. He didn't care about the fact that all the officers were Caucasian. He was more concerned that all the senior enlisted advisors were black. But he was an older guy. That's the mindset, right? That's the mindset. And from since I've been a civilian, been in a hiring capacity and things of that nature, a lot of times, individuals are very smart, but they're not a perfect fit for what we're trying to do and what we're trying to develop, right? So a lot of people don't take that in consideration. They're like, well, I'm just as qualified, I have more education. Yeah, but are you a fit for what we are the culture we're trying to build here? And a lot of people lose sight of that. When I hear people talk about, well, I was more qualified than that black female, it's always about race. Why couldn't it have been I was more qualified than that female? But there is a scare. They're trying to put that scare tactic in there that, minorities are going to take over the country and it's going to be slavery for white America, right? Hence why they don't want, the critical race theory? They don't want that to be taught, right? Or why they don't want black history to be taught in schools, because there are some white Americans who feel that retaliation is going to be against them. But I'm going down a little rabbit hole, but the bottom line, we're transitioning into Black History Month. And so it's ironic that this comes out during this time.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah. Any alibis on? Go ahead, Colonel Esquire.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, I know that we have and will probably continue to talk about 45/47 and question a lot of the things that he's doing, particularly with race or whatnot. And I just want the people to realize or understand that yes, this what we're seeing now is something that's overt, right? It's out in the open. But as the group knows, I hate politics on both sides. And so let's not get it twisted. Yeah, we have the overt situation with 47, but there was a lot of covert stuff going on with 46.
Yeah.
All right, and I can go on all day long about 46. And I know I'm gonna get barbecued. How could you not support 46 based on that? Well, that's probably another time episode for another time. But I'm just saying, regardless of who is in office, do your research and don't always listen to what you read on the major networks. All right, do more research, educate yourselves, and not just take the talking points of CNN, Fox, and MSNBC to formulate your opinion.
Outstanding, outstanding. Well, gentlemen, I know we're a little bit past the time, just a little bit surprised Colonel Esquire's alarm didn't go off. But with that, any parting thoughts?
Don't go to the grocery store today. Whatever you do, because you'll come up empty. Unless you go to HEB, they're really, really good about restocking very quickly.
Everybody be safe out there. I hope you stay warm and get over this cold front coming through, and then use this as a lesson and kind of document what you need and what you missed as this cold front passes through, so that you can survive the winter without having to panic and without having to worry. This is a good pre-game, if you will, to the actual winter game that's coming up.
Outstanding.
Remember, there are 4 seasons every year. We're in the season that is commonly known as winter. So it gets colder usually during that time of the year. Snow and ice usually happens to where it's a hazard on the road. Be careful when you're driving. Have your supplies in the car, blanket, candle. Everybody know that candle. Light a candle, crack the window. If you're stranded, get heat. Flashlight, water, that sort of thing. Yeah, just be warm, be careful. Don't go out if you don't have to. Everybody help each other. I know that I was, my alternator went out. I was stranded on the side of the road, and a couple people came to help me push the car out of the road. Mallory and I, we've helped push people out of the road. So everybody needs a helping hand. So I do appreciate those people who helped me. We try to help everybody else out. So if you see someone stranded, see someone in need, do your best to help them. I know you can't help everybody, but if you're able to kind of pull over and help them out, or at least call emergency backup for them, do that. Especially, and that goes in like the attitude you need in the stores and stuff. Everybody's going to need resources. Everybody's going to need, to get the things that they need to support their families. So don't just stockpile it and keep another family or two from getting the stuff they need. Be conscious of other people. So I appreciate everybody listening, and looking forward to being with you guys next week.
Outstanding. Thank each of you for sharing. What I will add, I want to caveat that point just made, Colonel Esquire. If you are buying a whole bunch of stuff and it's not for you, and you're out there, passing along to other people, those less fortunate, kudos to you. Kudos to you. So again, thanks. I thank each one of you for sharing. For those of you out there who would like to share your stories or recommend a topic for us to cover, please leave a comment, and thank you in advance. As we conclude this week, be mindful of the loved ones we have lost and continue to lose. Cherish the time with each one and teach one. Always remember, we have more days behind us than we do in front of us. So be kind, be thoughtful, and my favorite saying, or be an ass. Whatever you decide to do, be good at it. Enjoy the tunes, hit the subscribe button, and post your comments. We the four fellows who met in junior high appreciate each of you. This is the group saying peace.